Hey guys, welcome back to Homestead Prepping and Survival. Today I want to talk about a couple of things. One is, have you noticed the inflation prices of just everything you can go buy? Not just the food, but like I talked about in the previous video, PVC prices have just about tripled in the last year to 2 years. Um, I've been trying to find them, cheaper other sources to get my stockpile back up to where it needs to be. But I'm trying to work on the chicken pens out there, and I plan to add on to both sides of the chicken pen to have 3 separate pens so that I can have babies that are growing and not full adults yet in one pen, so they won't get picked on like these are now. And then I can have the adults in one pen, and any hens that are setting, hopefully I can have in a pen by themselves. And I also plan to build some rabbit boxes to put in one of those pens so that I can start raising meat rabbits. So today I went and looked at the prices of chicken wire, which I prefer the smaller size chicken wire. It's just because less rodents and things can get in there, or predators, that kind of thing. You can't stop them all, but if you can slow them down, why not? So I looked at the prices at the Lowe's here in Americus, and 150 feet of 4-foot tall chicken wire was $98, $99 plus tax. So then I looked at the smaller rolls, 50 foot, because I do not need 150 feet. I only need about 25 or 30 feet for what I'm doing. So I also don't like to spend a lot extra when I'm not going to need it anytime soon. So I looked at the 50-foot rolls, and it was actually $1 a foot, where the 150-foot roll was 33 cents a foot. So that's a huge difference for the same wire, just a smaller roll. But I did go ahead and pay the 50 cent or $1 a foot for the 50-foot roll, because that's almost double what I need, and I will have extra for any future projects and so on. So I went ahead and got that today, and I picked up another box of fencing nails, or horseshoe nails, whatever you want to call them. They're actually called fence nails. So I found a small 1-pound box that says it has 365 nails in it, and they weren't but $5. The nails are actually fairly cheap. I did get the 3/4 inch. I don't need those big 1.5 inch, 2-inch long nails. Not for a chicken pen. You just don't need that. So sorry, I'm fidgeting. I'm crossing my legs. Been on my feet a lot today, and my legs get fidgety. But anyway, I did go ahead and pick up the wire and the nails. Where I work, we're off Monday. It's Memorial Day, so it's a holiday, and my brother asked me to work half a day in the morning, so I'm gonna go in the morning and try to do things at work. So I get 2.5 days off anyway. But so I'll be going in to do that. But I'm hoping to work on that chicken pen this weekend, and I still have not picked up all the metal from my brother that he told me I could have. He had a lot extra from old projects and stuff. So that's what I'm going to use for the roof and the sides of the chicken pen, or pens. That way I won't have to spend money on OSB that's just going to need replacing in 5 or 10 years. So I've got to go by there and get that at some point, but I've also got to get the framing up so I can put the wire up. And that's what I'll hopefully plan on doing this weekend. So if I have to buy a few more 2x4s or 2x3s, whatever it is, if I have to buy a few more of those, then I'll go pick them up to try to get the framing done. And that way, when I do get the metal out here, all I've got to do is set it up there, or cut it to length, set it up there, and get the pen ready for the baby chickens and the rabbits. So I'm going to do the larger side, the right hand side first. But I'm just wondering what y'all are seeing where you live. Are you seeing that big of a price difference in size? Because 150 foot, well, it's less than 50 cents a foot. It's what, 150 foot for $100. So you're paying what? Well, I'm on my phone, so I was looking for my phone to use the calculator. So anyway, and then you've got $50 for 50 foot. So I know that equals $1 a foot. And for double the money, you get 3 times the wire. So if you need a lot of chicken wire, that'd probably be the way to go. And I did buy the 4 foot, which they had a lot less to choose from. But I bought the 4 foot wire for the simple fact that the run that I've got out there at the chicken pen is a 2 foot wire that I ran 2 strands and then snipped it and twisted it together to make it 4 foot. So this would make it a lot easier as far as when I get ready to do a larger chicken run for them to have the 4 foot tall wire, and less likely for them to fly over and get out. So I also plan on getting out there in the next week or so and clip their wings on one side so that they can't fly straight, and that typically helps them from flying over a fence, because with one side clipped and the other not, they will circle even though they want to. So it makes it harder for them to get out of the pen. But just wondering if y'all are seeing the same price increases that I'm seeing. I also want to talk about something. Excuse me for a second, I'm going to wet my throat. I know the last video I was really ticked off about the way the government, county, state, federal, all of it, is handling the protection of our children and our grandchildren, the future of this country. We give money away, but we don't protect what's most important. And that's just idiotic to me, at the very least. But I told y'all I follow a few other channels, and I found out that there was another shooting yesterday. Today is Friday. So there was another shooting Wednesday or Thursday, I don't remember which, in West Virginia. And what I'm hearing about it is it's not on any of the national news networks. None. The local news where it happened covered it. No national news, none of the biased news out there picked it up and talked about it, because it doesn't fit their narrative. So what I want to tell you is what I've researched and found out what's happened is police officers pull a guy over going through a residential area where there was apartment buildings and such, pulled him over for speeding and told him he was driving too fast for children to be around. School had just gotten out. There was a big group of teenagers and 14 to 18 years olds having a graduation party, cookout, whatever you want to call it. Large group in West Virginia doing that. They pull this guy over and say, look, you're driving too fast for kids to be around. Slow down. Apparently they let the guy go. This guy, piece of crap, goes somewhere and comes back, gets out of his vehicle, gets out with his rifle and starts shooting into the crowd of kids. Now there were some adults there too. This wasn't an unsupervised whatever. Start shooting his semi-auto rifle into the crowd. A female at that gathering with a concealed carry permit pulled her firearm and took this guy out. He fired multiple rounds into the crowd. She pulled her concealed carry firearm and took this guy out. Woman, you need the biggest medal you could possibly get from anybody and everybody. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Come to find out, the reason it's not on the national news channels is this guy was a multiple offender. He's been to prison several times. He's got rap sheets, longer than my arm. He is a felon, violent, convicted felon multiple times, legally cannot possess a firearm. But he still had one. And he brought it and started shooting into the kids that were having their graduation celebration. Now, the best news about the whole thing is none of the children were hurt. From what I was told, nobody was injured. He didn't hit anything that couldn't be replaced. But that woman pulled out her concealed carry firearm and took that bastard out. Thank you, Jesus. Somebody that's not a coward like the people that waited to go into the school to save the 18 children that were just killed, had the balls, female or male, it doesn't matter, to do what they should have done, which is protect children. And she took him out. But you don't see it on national news. You don't see it on any of the news channels because it doesn't fit their narrative. Oh, a convicted felon? Oh, multiple times convicted felon. It's against the law for him to have a firearm, but he had one and he was shooting at kids. How do we make this under gun control? He didn't follow the law. He ain't supposed to have a gun. So we just won't talk about it. Whoever that lady is, she ought not have to pay for anything for the rest of her life. There ain't no telling how many children she saved. We got to stand up. We got to do something. And I am a believer that voting isn't going to matter because just like the last elections, it's going to come out the way they want it to. But right now, the best thing we can do is to vote everyone that's been in office more than one term out. Out. Period. I don't care if they're Republicans, Democrats, liberals. Doesn't matter to me. You've been in office more than one term. Get the hell out. Let some people in there that'll do their job. And if they don't do it, vote them out. I do believe that it's not going to help, but that's what we have to do right now. We've got to make changes. The definition of insanity is to expect a different outcome by doing the same damn thing you've always done. Quit voting these career politicians into office. I personally know one or two of them. They're not my fans and I'm not theirs. But they do consider themselves conservatives. Doesn't matter to me. They've been in office way too long. They need to get out and let somebody in there that'll do their job. So, I've had some notes written down for quite a while sitting over there. This is a saying that I read on somewhere and I wrote it down because I wanted to say it in one of my videos. And I have no idea who originally said it or wrote it. But it says, we don't rise to the level of our expectations. We sink to the level of our training. You understand that? You're never going to be as good as you think you are if you're not out there training to make sure you are. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We sink to the level of our training. You need to be training. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. You hear that? It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Those two sayings right there speak volumes. If you put the thought into it, it speaks volumes. So I'm fixing to end this thing up, and I know it's 15 minutes, but I'm going to say this. Just by the slim chance that some of those officers, because I support every law-abiding officer that walks the planet. I've got law enforcement in my family. My nephew and his best friend were both law enforcement that were shot in the line of duty December the 7th of 2016. But these so-called officers in Texas that were too chicken shit to do their job and go in there and stop that idiot when he was shooting those children need to be tried for treason and conspiracy to commit murder, because it's just as much their fault as it is that idiot that was in there shooting the gun, because they didn't do the job we pay them to do, that they swore they would do. Lady, whoever you are in West Virginia, I love you. I'd hug your neck as long as you'd let me hug it. Thank you. God bless you for protecting innocent lives. Guys, we don't rise to the level of our expectations. We sink to the level of our training. It's time to train. The train, choo-choo, train is coming. And it's hauling ass. There ain't no stopping it. You need to be ready for it. Y'all remember what I always tell you. I love you. Jesus Christ loves you. Be safe. Be prepared.